The first rays of dawn kissed Oakhaven, painting the quaint town in hues of gold and rose. But for Elias, the day had begun long before. He was already in his bakery, Elias' Hearth, the heart of Oakhaven, where the aroma of freshly baked bread was as familiar as the townsfolk themselves. Elias, a man of simple pleasures, found solace in the rhythmic kneading of dough, the warmth of the oven on his weathered face, and the contented sighs of customers savoring his creations. His hands, calloused yet gentle, moved with practiced ease, shaping loaves and pastries that were more than just food. They were a taste of home, a symbol of Oakhaven's enduring spirit. Flour dusted his worn leather apron, a testament to years spent perfecting his craft. Each morning was the same, the crackling fire in the brick oven, the scent of yeast blooming, the soft thud of dough hitting the wooden countertop. It was a comforting routine, a predictable rhythm in an unpredictable world. His bakery was small, but its heart was large. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the rows of golden-brown bread, the plump apple pies, and the sweet-smelling cinnamon rolls. Each item was a labor of love, a testament to Elia's dedication. The air was thick with the scent of sugar and spice, a welcoming embrace for anyone who stepped inside. Elias hummed a quiet tune as he worked, a melody passed down from his own father who had taught him the secrets of baking. He remembered his father's flour-covered hands, his warm smile, and his unwavering belief in the power of good food to bring people together. Elias carried on that tradition, pouring his heart and soul into every loaf, every pie, every single treat. Little did the townsfolk of Oakhaven know, this humble baker, this purveyor of simple joys, was about to face a challenge that would test his courage and change his life forever. The warmth of his oven, the comforting scent of his bread, would soon become a shield, a sanctuary for a secret that could shatter the peace of Oakhaven. The scent of baking bread usually filled the night air, but tonight, a different kind of tension hung heavy. A storm brewed, mirroring the turmoil in Elias' heart. Just as he was closing up, securing the shutters against the wind, a frantic knocking echoed through the bakery. He cautiously opened the door, revealing a woman cloaked in shadows, her face pale and etched with fear. Rain lashed against her cloak as she clutched a bundle tightly to her chest. "Elias," she gasped, her voice barely a whisper, "please, you must help me." Elias recognized her instantly, though he hadn't seen her in years. Ilara, a woman once known for her laughter and bright spirit, now haunted by desperation. He ushered her inside, the warmth of the bakery a stark contrast to the chilling rain. "It's Ronan," she said, her voice trembling. "They're after us both. They say we robbed the Merchants' Guild." Ronan, the notorious outlaw, a name whispered in fear and fascination throughout the land. Elias had heard the stories, tales of daring heists and ruthless escapes. Ilara unwrapped the bundle, revealing a newborn baby, its tiny face peaceful despite the chaos surrounding it. "This is Lily," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "Ronan's daughter and mine, I can't protect her. They'll kill her if they find her with me." She pleaded with Elias, her eyes filled with a mother's desperate love. "Please, Elias, hide her, raise her as your own, tell no one, promise me you'll keep her safe." The weight of her request settled heavily on Elias' shoulders. He knew the danger, the risk of harboring a child connected to Ronan. But looking into Ilara's pleading eyes, seeing the innocent face of the sleeping baby, he couldn't refuse. "I promise," he said, his voice firm despite the tremor in his hands. "I will protect her, I will raise her as my own." Ilara sagged with relief, tears streaming down her face. She kissed Lily one last time, her touch lingering, a silent farewell. Then, she vanished into the storm, leaving Elias alone with the newborn, his life forever changed. The scent of rain and fear mingled with the comforting aroma of baking bread, a stark reminder of the secret he now held. The door closed behind Ilara, the sound echoing in the sudden silence. Elias stood there, cradling the sleeping Lily, the weight of his promise pressing down on him. He looked down at the tiny face, so innocent, so vulnerable. How could he possibly raise a child, especially one with such a dangerous connection? He was a baker, not a parent, doubt gnawed at him. He thought of the townsfolk, their trust in him, their reliance on his bakery. What would they say if they knew he was harboring the child of an outlaw? Would they ostracize him? Would they take Lily away? He paced the small bakery, the floorboards creaking under his weight. The aroma of baking bread, usually so comforting, now felt suffocating. He ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing. He thought of turning Lily over to the authorities, but the image of Alara's desperate face stopped him. He had given his word. He sat down heavily on a stool, staring into the embers of the dying fire. He knew this decision would change everything. His simple, predictable life was over. He was now responsible for protecting Lily, for shielding her from the dangers of the outside world. He thought of his own parents, their unwavering love and support. He remembered his father's words, "Do what is right even when it's hard." Those words resonated with him now. He knew that taking care of Lily was the right thing to do, no matter the cost. He looked at Lily again, her tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. A sense of determination washed over him. He would protect her. He would raise her to be a good person, to be kind and compassionate. He would give her the life she deserved, even if it meant sacrificing his own. He carefully placed Lily in a makeshift crib he created from a flour sack lined with soft cloths. He watched her sleep, his heart swelling with a love he never knew he was capable of. He was no longer just a baker. He was a father, and he would do everything in his power to keep Lily safe. The secret was a heavy burden, but the love in his heart was stronger. Years spun by like flour swirling in the air. Oak Haven embraced Lily as Elia's own, never suspecting her true parentage. She grew up amidst the comforting aroma of baking bread, her laughter echoing through the bakery, a sweet melody that filled Elia's heart. Lily loved helping in the bakery. Her small hands, dusted with flour, would try to mimic Elia's movements, shaping dough into wonky loaves and misshapen cookies. Elias would chuckle, guiding her gently, his heart overflowing with love. He taught her the secrets of baking, passing down the traditions his own father had taught him. The bakery became Lily's playground. She would hide amongst the flour sacks, giggling as Elias pretended to search for her. She would draw pictures on the chalkboard with colorful chalk, filling the bakery with her vibrant imagination. The townsfolk adored her, often stopping by just to see her bright smile and hear her infectious laughter. Elias made sure Lily had everything she needed. He sewed her dresses from scraps of fabric, read her stories by candlelight, and tucked her into bed each night with a kiss on her forehead. He was both her father and her mother, providing her with the love and security she deserved. But the secret weighed heavily on him. He knew that one day Lily would have to know the truth about her parents. He dreaded that day, fearing it would shatter their bond. He tried to push it to the back of his mind, focusing on the present, on cherishing every moment with Lily. He watched her blossom into a beautiful young girl, her eyes sparkling with intelligence and curiosity. She was the light of his life, the reason he woke up each morning. He couldn't imagine his life without her. The bakery, once just a place of work, was now a home filled with love, laughter, and the comforting scent of baking bread. And although the secret lingered like a shadow, Elias found solace in the joy of raising Lily, his little Lily, the heart of his hearth. He hoped his deception would never change how she felt about him. The weight of the secret manifested in subtle ways. Elias became overprotective of Lily, always watching her, always anxious about her safety. He flinched at loud noises, his hand instinctively reaching for her. He avoided talking about her past, deflecting any questions about her mother with vague answers. He told her stories, fantastical tales of brave knights and magical creatures, but he always carefully omitted any mention of outlaws or dangerous adventures. He wanted to shield her from the darkness, to keep her world bright and innocent, but the more he tried to protect her, the more the secret gnawed at him. He felt like he was building a wall between them, a barrier of lies and half-truths. He longed to tell her the truth, but he feared the consequences. Would she hate him for keeping it from her? Would she resent him for not telling her about her real parents? He started having nightmares, dreams of Alara returning to reclaim Lily, of Ronan appearing in Oak Haven, disrupting their peaceful life. He would wake up in a cold sweat, his heart pounding, the scent of fear mingling with the aroma of baking bread. He sought solace in his work, kneading dough with a renewed fervor, the rhythmic motion a form of meditation. But even in the midst of his craft, the secret lingered, a constant reminder of his deception. He started to withdraw from the townsfolk, avoiding conversations, fearing that he might accidentally reveal the truth. He spent more time alone with Lily, cherishing their moments together, knowing that they were built on a foundation of lies. He knew he couldn't keep the secret forever, but he also knew that telling Lily the truth could destroy everything they had built. He was trapped between two impossible choices, his heart aching with the weight of his deception. The moral cost of his secret was taking its toll, slowly eroding his peace of mind, casting a shadow over his once simple life. He started seeing Alara in every passing stranger, Ronan in every shadow. The fear was constant. A shadow began to fall over Oakhaven, a darkness that had nothing to do with secrets and everything to do with greed. Whispers turned into shouts, and the name on everyone's lips was Thorn. Thorn, a cruel man with eyes like chips of ice, led a syndicate that preyed on the weak, extorting money and resources from the townsfolk. The once vibrant market square became a place of fear, the lively chatter replaced by hushed tones and anxious glances. Thorn's men, rough and menacing, patrolled the streets, their heavy boots kicking up dust, their presence a constant reminder of their power. Elias watched, his heart sinking, as Oakhaven slowly succumbed to Thorn's tyranny. Farmers struggled to pay their dues, families went hungry, and the spirit of the town began to wither. The warm, inviting atmosphere of Elias' hearth was replaced by a sense of unease, the laughter of customers fading into nervous murmurs. He worried about Lily. He kept her close, always within his sight, his protective instincts heightened by the growing danger. He taught her to be wary of strangers, to avoid the market square, to stay within the safe confines of the bakery. Rumors of Ronan's gang resurfaced, whispers of their past exploits adding to the general sense of fear and uncertainty. Some whispered that Ronan would return to liberate Oakhaven, while others feared his presence would only bring more trouble. Elias dreaded the possibility of Ronan's return. He feared that it would expose his secret, shatter Lily's world, and bring even more danger to Oakhaven. He felt trapped, caught between the tyranny of Thorn and the potential chaos of Ronan. He started having trouble sleeping, haunted by visions of Thorn's men dragging Lily away, of Ronan leading a bloody rebellion through the streets of Oakhaven. He felt powerless, unable to protect Lily, unable to save his town. The flour on his hands felt like dust, the oven's heat like a burning brand. He knew, deep down, that Oakhaven was heading towards a storm, and he feared that he and Lily would be caught in the eye of it. The idyllic peace they had built was about to be shattered. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across Oakhaven, a stranger walked into Elias' hearth. He was tall and weathered, his face etched with lines that spoke of hardship and experience. He wore simple clothes, but his eyes held a steely glint that hinted at a hidden strength. Elias, ever cautious, watched him closely. The man scanned the bakery, his gaze lingering on Lily, who was helping Elias clean the counter. There was a flicker of recognition in his eyes, a spark of something familiar. "Evening," the man said, his voice raspy but kind. "I'll take a loaf of your sourdough, if you please." Elias nodded, relieved that the man seemed harmless. He wrapped a loaf of bread in paper and handed it to him. As the man reached for it, their fingers brushed. Elias felt a jolt, a strange sense of familiarity that made his heart skip a beat. "You look familiar," Elias said, unable to contain his curiosity. The man smiled, a sad, knowing smile. "Perhaps you've heard stories about me," he said. "My name is Ronan." Elias froze, his blood turning to ice. Ronan, the outlaw, Lily's father. He stared at the man, trying to reconcile the hardened face before him with the image of the ruthless criminal he had heard so much about. "I've changed," Ronan said, sensing Elias' shock. "I'm not the man I used to be." He paused, his gaze softening as he looked at Lily again. "I've come back to help Oakhaven, to fight against Thorn." Elias didn't know what to believe. Could this man, this reformed outlaw, be trusted? Was he truly here to help, or did he have ulterior motives? And what did his return mean for Lily, for the secret he had kept for so long? The air in the bakery suddenly felt thick, heavy with unspoken words and dangerous possibilities. The heat of the oven felt oppressive, no longer comforting. Ronan's arrival had ignited a new fire, one that threatened to consume everything Elias held dear. He knew that his carefully constructed world was about to be turned upside down. Ronan spent the next few weeks moving through Oak Haven like a ghost, observing, assessing. He saw the fear in the eyes of the townsfolk, the desperation in their struggles. He felt the weight of Thorne's oppression, the injustice that had taken root in the once peaceful community. Secretly, he began meeting with farmers, blacksmiths, and other townsfolk who were weary of Thorne's tyranny. He spoke of resistance, of fighting back, of reclaiming their town. His words were measured, his tone persuasive. He wasn't the reckless outlaw of old. He was a man driven by a desire for redemption, a burning need to right the wrongs of his past. Under the cover of darkness, in hidden fields and abandoned barns, Ronan trained his recruits. He taught them how to fight, how to defend themselves, how to work together as a team. The dust of the fields clung to their clothes, their faces grim with determination. They were a ragtag group, but they were united by their shared hatred of Thorne and their hope for a better future. Elias noticed the unusual activity. He saw groups of men gathering in the woods, their faces serious, their movements secretive. He heard whispers of rebellion, rumors of a militia forming to challenge Thorne. He suspected Ronan was behind it all, but he didn't dare ask. He watched Ronan interact with Lily, a silent communication passing between them. Ronan never revealed his true identity, but Elias could see the longing in his eyes, the unspoken love he felt for his daughter. Lily, in turn, seemed drawn to Ronan, sensing a connection she couldn't explain. Elias felt increasingly conflicted. He admired Ronan's courage, his determination to fight for Oak Haven. But he also feared the consequences of his actions. A rebellion would surely bring violence and bloodshed to their doorstep, and if the truth about Lily's parentage were to be revealed, their lives would be shattered. One evening, Ronan approached Elias in the bakery, his eyes filled with a mixture of hope and concern. "Oak Haven needs your help," he said. "We can't defeat Thorne without you." Elias hesitated, torn between his loyalty to Lily and his duty to his town. The decision he made in that moment would determine the fate of Oak Haven and the future of his family. The aroma of baking bread suddenly felt like a suffocating reminder of the life he was about to leave behind. Elias finally made his decision. He couldn't stand idly by while Thorne destroyed Oak Haven. He had to fight not just for his town, but for Lily's future. He met Ronan in the dead of night, the moon casting long, eerie shadows across the bakery. "I'll help you," Elias said, his voice firm, "but Lily must be kept safe." "She knows nothing." Ronan nodded, his eyes filled with gratitude. "I understand," he said. "I would never put her in harm's way." Together, they began to plan their strategy. Elias, with his intimate knowledge of Oak Haven, provided valuable insights into Thorne's operations and the weaknesses of his men. He knew the secret passages, the hidden tunnels, the places where they could strike without being seen. He started baking extra loaves of bread, slipping coded messages into the dough, informing the militia of meeting times and supply drops. The scent of yeast and flour became a signal, a symbol of resistance. One day, Lily overheard Elias and Ronan talking in hushed tones. She caught snippets of their conversation: Thorne, militia, fight. Curiosity piqued, she pressed Elias for answers. He hesitated, torn between his desire to protect her and his need for her trust. He couldn't lie to her any longer. He took a deep breath and began to tell her the truth, starting with Alara's desperate plea on that stormy night and ending with Ronan's return and the formation of the militia. Lily listened in stunned silence, her eyes wide with disbelief. The world she had known, the life she had taken for granted, suddenly crumbled around her. She learned that Elias wasn't her real father, that Ronan, the man she had sensed a connection with, was her true parent, and that her entire existence was built on a foundation of lies. The revelation hit her like a physical blow. She felt betrayed, confused, and angry. She stormed out of the bakery, her heart aching with a pain she had never experienced before. Elias watched her go, his heart breaking, knowing that he had shattered the trust they had shared for so many years. The secret he had kept to protect her had ultimately destroyed their bond. The weight of his deception finally crashed down on him, heavier than any sack of flour he had ever lifted. Lily wandered aimlessly through Oak Haven, the familiar streets now feeling foreign and unwelcoming. The faces of the townsfolk, once so warm and friendly, now seemed to hold a mixture of pity and curiosity. She felt like an outsider, a stranger in her own home. She couldn't reconcile the man she knew as her father, the kind and gentle baker, with the man who had kept such a monumental secret from her for so long. And she couldn't comprehend that Ronan, the mysterious stranger who had recently arrived in Oak Haven, was her true father, a notorious outlaw who had lived a life of danger and intrigue. She found herself drawn to the outskirts of town, to the fields where Ronan was training the militia. She watched them from a distance, their movements rough but determined, their faces set with a shared purpose. She saw Ronan among them, his presence commanding, his voice filled with authority. She wanted to hate him, to blame him for the chaos that had been unleashed in her life. But she also felt a strange pull towards him, a sense of connection that she couldn't deny. She saw the longing in his eyes when he looked at her, the unspoken love he carried in his heart. One evening she found Ronan alone, sitting by a campfire, staring into the flames. She approached him cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, her voice trembling. Ronan looked up, his eyes filled with sorrow. "I wanted to protect you," he said. "I didn't want you to be burdened by my past." "But you lied to me," Lily said, tears streaming down her face. "Elias lied to me. My whole life has been a lie." Ronan reached out and gently cupped her face in his hands. "Elias loves you, Lily," he said. "He raised you as his own and he protected you from harm. He did what he thought was best." "And what about you?" Lily asked. "Did you ever think about me? Did you ever wonder what happened to me?" Ronan's eyes filled with tears. "Every single day," he said. "Every single day I regretted the choices I made, the life I lived. I wanted to be there for you, but I couldn't. I was a wanted man. I couldn't risk bringing danger to your door." He paused, taking a deep breath. "But I'm here now," he said. "I'm here to protect you, to protect Oak Haven, and I'm here to earn your forgiveness." Lily stared at him, her heart torn between anger and longing. She didn't know if she could ever forgive him, or Elias, for the lies they had told. But she knew that she couldn't ignore the truth any longer. Her life had changed forever, and she had to find a way to navigate this new reality. The crackling fire felt like a representation of the turmoil inside her. The attack came swiftly, a brutal assault that shattered the fragile peace of Oak Haven. Thorn, enraged by the growing rebellion, unleashed his men upon the town, their fury fueled by greed and a thirst for power. The streets, once filled with the comforting aroma of baking bread, were now choked with smoke and the acrid smell of burning buildings. The sounds of laughter and chatter were replaced by screams of terror and the clash of steel. Thorn's men stormed through Oak Haven, looting homes, terrorizing families, and setting fire to anything that stood in their way. Ronan and his militia fought back bravely, their ragtag group standing their ground against Thorn's well-equipped forces. The battle raged through the town, a desperate struggle for survival. The dust of the streets mingled with the smoke, creating a thick haze that obscured the fighting. Elias, armed with a bread knife and a fierce determination to protect Lily, fought alongside Ronan, his knowledge of the town's secret passages proving invaluable. He moved through the shadows, guiding the militia, ambushing Thorn's men, and providing aid to the wounded. Lily, despite her emotional turmoil, couldn't stand idly by while her town was being destroyed. She found herself drawn to the heart of the battle, her fear replaced by a surge of adrenaline. She helped the wounded, carrying water to the fighters and delivering messages between the militia. She saw the brutality of the fighting, the senseless violence, the suffering of the innocent. She witnessed Thorne's men mercilessly attacking her neighbors, her friends, the people she had grown up with. The experience hardened her, stripping away her innocence and forcing her to confront the harsh realities of the world. She saw Elias fighting with a ferocity she had never known he possessed, his gentle eyes now filled with a burning rage. She saw Ronan leading the militia, his presence inspiring courage and determination. She realized that both men, in their own way, were fighting for her, for Oakhaven, for a future free from Thorne's tyranny. The battle raged on, the fate of Oakhaven hanging in the balance. The air was thick with the stench of blood and the sounds of despair. Lily knew that the fight was far from over, and that the final showdown with Thorne would determine whether Oakhaven would survive or be consumed by darkness. The heat from the burning buildings felt like a physical manifestation of the rage and fear inside her. The final showdown took place in the market square, the heart of Oakhaven, now scarred and broken. Ronan faced Thorne, their eyes locked in a battle of wills. Thorne, surrounded by his remaining men, sneered at Ronan, confident in his victory. "It's over, Ronan," Thorne said, his voice dripping with contempt. "You can't win. Oakhaven belongs to me now." Ronan stood tall, his face grim but resolute. "Oakhaven belongs to the people," he said, "and they will fight for it." The two men lunged at each other, their swords clashing in a shower of sparks. The fight was brutal, a desperate struggle between good and evil. Ronan, despite his age and his past, fought with a ferocity fueled by his desire for redemption and his love for Lily. Elias, watching from the sidelines, saw Thorne gain the upper hand. He knew that if Ronan fell, Oakhaven would be lost. He couldn't let that happen. He charged into the fray, his bread knife a meager weapon against Thorne's sword. Thorne, surprised by Elias' sudden intervention, stumbled back, giving Ronan an opening. Ronan seized the opportunity, his sword finding its mark. Thorne crumpled to the ground, defeated. Thorne's men, seeing their leader fall, lost their will to fight. They scattered, fleeing Oakhaven, leaving the townsfolk victorious. The battle was over. Oakhaven was free, but the victory came at a cost. Elias lay wounded, bleeding from a deep gash in his side. Lily rushed to his side, her eyes filled with tears. "Elias," she cried, "please don't leave me." Elias smiled weakly, his hand reaching out to touch her face. "I'm so proud of you, Lily," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "You're strong, you're brave, and you're kind, never forget that." He looked at Ronan, his eyes filled with a mixture of pride and gratitude. "Take care of her," he said. With those words, Elias closed his eyes and drew his last breath. Lily sobbed, her heart breaking with grief. The man who had raised her, the man she had loved as a father, was gone. The scent of smoke and blood mingled with the faint aroma of baking bread, a bittersweet reminder of the life they had shared. Even in victory, the moral cost of secrets and lies weighed heavily on them all. But somehow, standing together, they would carry on. Time passed, a slow and painful healing for Oakhaven. The bakery, once a symbol of warmth and community, stood silent, a stark reminder of the loss they had suffered. Ronan, burdened by grief and guilt, stayed in Oakhaven, honoring his promise to Elias to protect Lily. He helped rebuild the town, working alongside the townsfolk, his hands calloused but strong. He was no longer an outlaw, but a leader, a protector, a father. Lily, despite her sorrow, found strength in her newfound connection with Ronan. She learned about his past, his struggles, his desire for redemption. She saw the good in him, the love he had always carried in his heart. Together, they reopened Elias' hearth, restoring it to its former glory. Lily took over the baking, her hands moving with the same practiced ease as Elias, her heart filled with his spirit. The aroma of freshly baked bread once again filled the air, a symbol of hope and resilience. Ronan, now a respected figure in Oakhaven, helped to establish a new council, ensuring that Thorne's tyranny would never return. He used his knowledge of the criminal underworld to protect the town from outside threats, his past a constant reminder of the darkness he had overcome. Lily and Ronan worked side by side, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. They were a family bound not by blood but by love, loyalty, and a shared commitment to Oakhaven. They honored Elias' memory by carrying on his legacy, by keeping his spirit alive in the heart of the town. The secret of Lily's parentage became a part of Oakhaven's history, a tale of sacrifice, forgiveness, and redemption. The townsfolk embraced Lily and Ronan, accepting them for who they were, flaws and all. The bakery became a haven, a place where people could find solace, comfort, and a sense of belonging. The scent of baking bread was a reminder of the past, a celebration of the present, and a promise for the future. And though Elias was gone, his spirit lived on in every loaf, every pie, every single treat that came out of Elias' hearth. The flour on their hands, the heat from the oven, and the marching dust of the rebuilt town all told a story of resilience, love, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Years later, Oakhaven thrived. Elias' hearth was more than just a bakery. It was a symbol of their resilience, a place where stories were shared, friendships were forged, and the aroma of baking bread filled the air with hope. Lily, now a young woman, carried on Elias' legacy, baking with the same love and skill that he had taught her. She experimented with new recipes, adding her own special touch to the traditional loaves and pastries. The bakery became known throughout the land for its unique creations, drawing visitors from far and wide. Ronan, no longer haunted by his past, served as a wise and respected leader, guiding Oakhaven with fairness and compassion. He often visited the bakery, his eyes filled with pride as he watched Lily work. He was a changed man, redeemed by his love for his daughter and his commitment to his town. One day, a young boy entered the bakery, his face smudged with dirt, his eyes wide with wonder. He approached Lily cautiously, his voice barely a whisper. "Is it true?" he asked. "Is it true that you're the daughter of the famous outlaw Ronan?" Lily smiled, her eyes twinkling. "It's true," she said, "but he's not an outlaw anymore, he's a hero." The boy's eyes widened even further. "Wow," he said, "that's amazing." Lily handed him a warm cinnamon roll, its sweet aroma filling the air. "Everyone has a past," she said. "It's what you do with your future that matters." The boy took a bite of the cinnamon roll, his face lighting up with delight. "This is the best thing I've ever tasted," he said. Lily laughed, her heart filled with joy. She knew that Elias would have been proud. She had not only carried on his legacy, but she had also created her own, transforming the bakery into a symbol of hope, forgiveness, and the enduring power of love. The aroma of baking bread, the laughter of the townsfolk, and the warmth of the oven all served as a reminder of the journey they had taken, the sacrifices they had made, and the triumphs they had achieved. The spirit of Oakhaven, like the aroma of its bread, was warm, inviting, and forever enduring. The end. This key point is already covered in the previous text. Providing a new scene would contradict the existing narrative. This key point is already covered in the previous text. Providing a new scene would contradict the existing narrative.